You a big fan of the NFL draft, Bob?
Oh, I love it.
Well, a lot of people love it. It starts on Thursday, of course. We talked to a guy, you can check out the podcast, Russ Landy. There are dozens of these guys out there now who put in the time, put in the effort, trying to come up with the mock drafts. The thing is, when you're looking at the Seahawks this year and you're not picking until in the 50s, right? Their first pick is 56 or 57 or something like that. It is almost impossible, I think, to figure out who they're going to take in terms of an individual. But it was interesting in hearing a guy's perspective on it, and I think this had a lot to do with what the Seahawks have done in the offseason in terms of adding things, that they don't really have to look for a specific guy in this draft, it sounded like.
No, he gave them the proverbial best player available, which sounds about right. You know, he talked about, offensive line is always something you look at. You know, you could add depth there. It's about depth, really. You've addressed all of your needs, if you will. Maybe I keep coming back to linebacker as a potential need.
Seems like they're missing a starter, right?
Well, we don't expect Leroy to be back.
No.
So that opens something up there as far as I can see. Now maybe Malcolm Smith is somebody they're looking at or they feel like they've got. I don't know, but it does really, picking in the 50s, there's less excitement as a Seahawks fan because it is a guy that none of us are going to be able to tag, especially with the Seahawks as unpredictable as they are.
Right.
Even if you felt like you knew who they were going to take, they wouldn't take them. So it really is a crapshoot as to what they're going to do, and maybe it will be best player available, which will be interesting if it's something you feel like they've got, like if they draft a cornerback or if they draft a receiver or something, you're going to be, all right, it truly is best player available.
Well, it's kind of interesting, too, and one thing that Cam Chancellor's signing kind of highlighted was the number of guys coming up in the next 2 years that are going to need to be, well, you have to determine whether or not you're going to sign them or not. And we know in some cases, the facts tell you, you're not going to be able to sign everyone. So I think maybe you look for hints in the draft a little bit. If they do, in fact, draft wide receivers, maybe that's telling you something about what they perceive Golden Tate's future to be. If they do, draft a cornerback, let's say, maybe that's something they're thinking about with Brandon Browner coming up or Sherman in a couple of years. And I think you hit on the thing beforehand, too, and Russ Landy put it, and you can hear him on the podcast talk about it. This is a team that solved most of their needs. I mean, linebacker, that may not be clear. Averill, they've talked about him stepping up and playing there a little bit. But boy, you don't look for them, you don't imagine them like they were that first year, looking to get a starter at any position in the third or fourth or fifth round this year, just adding depth.
No, I could see him going defensive end perhaps, because you've got Bennett on a 1-year deal, you got Averill on a 2-year deal, and you don't know what the future is for Clemens, a guy who for football is getting older, coming off an injury like that. You don't know, so perhaps that's something they look at. You got 3 receivers that to me could be question marks, in Baldwin, Rice, and Golden Tate. You don't know. So if they start drafting receivers, those are all guys you talked about that are going to be coming up in the next couple of years, or in Rice's case, maybe they ask him to restructure. We keep hearing about tight end, that McCoy doesn't seem to be somebody that they're that enamored with, that perhaps they'll look for a replacement there. Maybe Zach Miller is going to have to restructure his deal. So there are a lot of, it really does appear best player available, back to what he originally said.
Come on, man. We know what the toughest thing is going to be. Waiting till like late Friday night before they even make a pick. That's going to be tough.